Hey everyone, I have a short one, but it's a really good one for you today. I've been busy. We've been onboarding 6 new team members, so sorry if I went a little incognito or disappeared on you. So today I just want you to sit tight and get your notebook out because there is a nerve running from your brainstem at the base of your brain all the way down through your heart, your lungs, and your gut. And most migraine sufferers have never heard of it. If they have, they probably learned the wrong things. But it's called the vagus nerve. It's your longest cranial nerve of the 12 cranial nerves that you have. And it may be, no, actually, it is the single most underutilized tool in migraine prevention that exists. It's not the only thing that you need to do, but it is the most important thing to focus on if you had to pick one thing. And it's not a drug, it's not a supplement, it is a nerve. It is your nerve. And that nerve is already inside of you. And so today, I'm going to show you what it does, why it matters so much for your migraines and your headaches, and then 3 simple ways to activate it. Yes, we want to activate or stimulate the nerve, which can be confusing to people who might feel stressed or burnt out and they feel like they need a relaxation. We're going to do stimulation, and I'll explain why. By the way, if the algorithm just showed you to us and you're not following or subscribed to our channel, I'm Dr. Kevin Wissman. I suffered with migraines for 21 years, and then I got daily headaches for the past 5 years. Or at least, the last 5 years, because I've been in a remission for 5 years now. And here at Tame the Migraine, we help people get to the root cause of their migraines and their headaches so that they don't have to keep managing them for the rest of their life. So just a quick pause. If you're finding this interesting or exciting or just genuinely useful, I encourage you to hit the like button. The algorithm will send you more of this, and also to subscribe so that you get notifications when more of these educational videos come out where I'm teaching you about the science, teaching about tools so that you don't have to keep suffering and you don't have to search for answers. They'll come to you. Okay, so back to your vagus nerve that runs on both sides of your neck. Yes, both sides, not just one. I want you to think of your vagus nerve as your body's inner superhighway. And superhighway for a lot of different things, but it is the longest cranial nerve in your whole body. So we have 12 cranial nerves. Some go to our eyes, our nose, our ears. But this one goes and it starts at your brainstem and it goes all the way down and touches, it connects. It doesn't just touch, it connects and speaks with all of these organs throughout our body. And it also sends messages from our organs up to our brain. And this is important because if you ever have GI or gut issues or even nausea with your migraines and headaches, that is sending a message back up the vagus nerve to your brain. And this is important because it is a key player in your parasympathetic nervous system. You've probably heard me talk about that in the past. Your parasympathetic nervous system, yes, you have multiple different types or different subtypes of nervous systems. That parasympathetic nervous system is commonly called your rest and digest side of things. It's the brake pedal, if you remember me talking about that in past videos. And here's the fascinating part. That vagus nerve we're talking about, 80% of it is sensory, which means that it mostly sends information back up to your brain, not down to your body. So many people think that the brain is so powerful and it's sending all these messages because we think all day long and it's sending messages to our body and it's this mainframe. But in reality, 80 to 90% of the messages that go through this superhighway, our vagus nerve, from brain to body, body to brain, 80 to 90% of those messages actually go from the body up to the brain. This is really important to know in understanding why we do certain techniques and tools that aren't even focused on the brain or your thoughts or anything like that. And so to go even further, think about this. It is constantly reporting messages back to the brain, the mainframe, on the state of your body, your heart rate, your breath rate, your gut function, your hormone levels. And the important thing is you don't actually symptomatically often feel when these things are off. But I can promise you, if I had 5 minutes to sit down and get to meet you, if you got migraines and this is interesting to you, or even headaches, really, I can almost guarantee your breathing technique, that autonomic nervous system controlling your breathing technique, is off. You're probably breathing wrong and your heart rate isn't working how it's supposed to. And it's sending these little messages up to the brain that things are wrong. And guess what that does to the migraine brain, the headache brain? It sets off alarms. And what is your alarm? It's migraine attacks, it's headaches. And so all of these little things, they add up over time, and your migraine threshold, it shrinks. And then your nervous system, it becomes more and more sensitive as well because of this. You've heard in our past videos where we talk about central and peripheral sensitization, so you probably understand that. But here's the cool thing. Earlier, you heard me talking about where you're going to stimulate the vagus nerve. And research has actually shown that when you stimulate the vagus nerve, it can reduce the intensity and frequency of your migraines. Now, you've probably been targeted by companies that have these FDA-cleared vagus nerve stimulators They're little devices. I've had them and they've all failed me as well. Sometimes the research isn't as promising as what the real world type of results and experiences show. If you follow Dr. Kevin Tracy, he is one of the experts in bioelectric medicine, essentially. So stimulation of the nerve tract. And he talks about how all these devices, they don't have enough sensitivity and specificity. So that electrical stimulation is not getting deep enough to your vagus nerve. Unfortunately, if it doesn't actually hit the vagus nerve, in theory, everything they say makes sense. But in reality, it doesn't actually stimulate the vagus nerve the way that it's portrayed. But have no fear, because here's the thing that they don't tell you. You don't need a device. Your body already has built-in ways to activate, to stimulate your vagus nerve. And for many people, low vagal tone, it means a weak, underactive vagus nerve. Think about like low muscle tone. Your muscles are weak. Same thing here with your vagus nerve or your nervous system. In fact, your nervous system controls your muscles. If you have a low muscle tone, you also have low nervous system tone. And specifically here with migraines and headaches, you have a low vagal tone or vagus nerve tone. When you have a low vagal tone, it is directly correlated with chronic pain, heightened anxiety, and yes, migraine and headache chronification. The scientific term is vagal tone. But what we mean by this is the higher your vagal tone, the more regulated your nervous system is. And the more regulated your nervous system is, the lower your migraine and headache risk is. So you have less attacks, less intense ones as well. So here are 3 research-backed ways to stimulate your vagus nerve. So the first one, it's called diaphragmatic breathing, if you've never heard of that. Specifically, when it comes to diaphragmatic breathing, it's having a longer exhale than an inhale. And the reason being is because our nervous system, our sympathetic fight or flight, that stress state one, it sits in your upper part of your lungs. Your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest, it sits more in the base of your lungs, more in your abdomen. And so diaphragmatic breathing is pulling air down to your diaphragm that sits right here in your middle abdomen section. And it's pulling air to stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system in your vagus nerve. Okay, so technique tool number 2 is cold water on your, I'm not even gonna say face, I'm gonna say neck. Because this is actually, technically it can be your ear in your subconscious area, but what I'm gonna say is your neck is probably gonna be your best spot here because that is where like most of your biggest nerve stimulators are. But cold water, it can actually stimulate deeper than like an electrical stimulation. What it does is it activates what's called a diving reflex, which is an ancient neurological response that immediately slows down your heart rate and it activates the parasympathetic system. Okay, so the final technique, this one, again, these might sound like too simple to be true, but trust me, they are evidence-based, research-backed. Some people will call this foghorn breathing, or you might hear VU breathing, or just simply like humming or singing or gargling. So that vibration is actually going to be stimulating. That vibration is going to be stimulating deep into your vagus nerve. It sounds strange, but the vagus nerve, it runs through your whole vocal cords, and that vibration sends direct calming signals to your brainstem. I want to be clear, like none of these things are cures, but they are tools. And they're tools when used consistently, it can slowly change baseline of your nervous system. And the most important thing, I just want to be clear and transparently, these 3 tools, they are just the beginning. In our Migraine Reset and Rewire Masterclass, I teach you the full system. There's a triangle, I talk you step by step, and then we go along with the brain retraining practices that target the deeper root causes, the rewiring, the neuroplasticity you've probably heard me teach about on these YouTube videos. That Migraine Reset and Rewire Masterclass is completely free. So you can watch it at the link below, and this could be your turning point. So I really encourage you to get there. And remember, take care of yourself first. You deserve to feel well, and you can do so much more for others in your life when you take care of yourself first. We'll see you in the next video.